In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. Muhammad is his messenger. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is our divine reminder and warner that's in our midst. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Jock Brothers Presents Let Us Make Man, a podcast of brothers that desires nothing more than to present positive content on a podcast that shows brotherhood and unity amongst men. We are also brothers that striving to show that desire to show nothing more than what a striving man of God should be. For we all are family men who love our children. We all are businessmen. We all are youth mentors, and we all work hard in our communities to make it a decent and safe place to live. When putting this podcast together, we decided to govern our actions by 3 rules. One was to put God first in all that we do. 2, as I said before, was to show content on podcasts that can make you a better you. And of course, 3, to showcase that brothers can get along together without fighting and killing. We can actually get along together by showing brotherhood and unity amongst each other. It just builds love amongst each other. Now, my name is Brother Kawi Muhammad. I'll be your host and moderator for the night. I'm a brother that's very interested in humble beginnings, motivations, and inspirations. And so I hope you enjoy those lines of questioning. And let me now introduce you to the other host of the show. This brother here is from Orlando, Florida. This brother here, as I always say, and he always do, he delivers a strong, positive attitude to each one of our meetings and shows. The only married jock brother on the panel. I salute that brother for that. My brother, Jackie Muhammad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Jock Nation, we got a wonderful show for you tonight. Thank you for tuning in. This show means a lot to me personally. I have my first captain when I came in the Nation of Islam and my first regional minister in my interest in the Nation of Islam. And so this is a wonderful show. We want to do the history of these brothers' journey and what it takes, set up and make a way for new brothers and sisters like myself to come into Islam. So thank you for tuning in. Back to you, Kawi.
Yes, sir. And other host of the Jock Brothers. He's the producer of the show. He puts this all together. This brother from New York City. He is an international traveler. You have no idea from day to day what this brother may be. I love this brother. When you ever put a team together and you want them to be successful, you call this brother right here. My brother, Ahmed Bia.
Hey, well, I can't get that kind of introduction.
You gotta earn that. You gotta earn that.
All right, yeah, all right.
Look at the comments. Look at the comments jumping. The ratings are going up. You gotta earn that, brother. Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. Man, we thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us tonight. We have some great, inspiring men, young men on our show tonight. And we want you all to sit back and relax and take some time out to just hear these brothers and their journey in Islam and throughout their lives. For all those viewing Jock Brothers, just some information about us. We are a podcast. We air at 7 p.m. on Tuesday nights. 7 p.m. Tuesday nights. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube. We are jockbrothers.com, our website, jockbrothers.com, and on YouTube, Jock Brothers, where you can view some of our previous shows. We have a lot of information. We also have a prison initiative that we are supporting, the boldest Black-owned newspaper, The Final Call, where we're striving to make connections with our brothers and sisters that are incarcerated so we can get this information and this vital news daily and weekly inside the prison walls to our brothers and sisters. You can support Jock Brothers at Jock Bros, $ Jock Bros. You can see it strolling across the bottom of the screen, $ Jock Bros. If you give it 1 second, yeah, there it is. $ Jock Bros. You see it scrolling at the bottom of the screen. This is where you can support us financially. If you need to get us any information, you can reach us at jockbrothersviewers@gmail.com, jockbrothersviewers@gmail.com. That's any information on any family members, friends who are incarcerated who need the final call. You can get their information to us through that email. And any suggestions about the show, you can get it to us through that Gmail or email address as well. Thank you all for tuning in. Back to you, Brother Carwi.
Yes, sir. So let's get to work. Journey with Messengers of Truth is what we titled this show. But it is something. Brother Ahmed came up with the idea for this show, the inspiration for this show. And it was mostly because there's something about the brothers in the state of Ohio.
Hold up. I can't let that slide. I can't let that slide. No, sir.
It was your idea, Brother Jackie?
Yes, sir, brother. I want to hear from these brothers, brother. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Oh, man, I swear that was you, Brother Ahmed. Oh, my apologies, family.
I don't get no credit, brother. See, that's
a lot of times we on these meetings.
I inspired Brother Jackie. It was me.
You inspired Brother Jackie?
Okay. Brother Jackie, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I stand corrected, family, by my great brother Jackie. It's something about the brothers in Ohio.
Right.
It was something about them in the early 80s and 90s. There was a few brothers that stood up in a big way this mission to help out the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We were blessed tonight to have a few of those brothers on our show tonight. And they're going to take us back on a journey on their travels through the Nation of Islam. And I look forward to that because that's right up my alley. I love beginnings and motivations and inspirations. So with no further ado, I want to first introduce this brother here that has held every post imaginable in the ranks in Muhammad's ranks. This brother has, of course, started off as a private soldier. He was a secretary at one time. He was a lieutenant at one time. He was a captain at one time. He rose to the ranks of regional minister. But no further ado, my esteemed brother, who I'm extremely excited to interview tonight, Brother Vance or Minister Van Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, who came to us in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, we forever thank him for leaving with us in his absence such a divine leader, teacher, and guide in the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the last of the messengers and the greatest of the messengers.
That's right.
I would like to take this opportunity, brothers, to thank Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan. Because if it was not for him, the accolades that I just received from Brother Klawi would have never been possible. I thank him for allowing me to walk with him through this journey of rebuilding the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and taking a brother out of a small city in Youngstown and taking a chance and allowing him to come to Atlanta, which the messenger said was the apple of his eye. I thank him for that. I'd like to greet you all, brothers and sisters, in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum, and I'm looking forward to the panel.
Wa alaikum salam, sir. Thank you.
Brother Jackie, may I give you the honors of introducing this brother here?
Oh, man, I'll take that. 1993. I'm going through Apopka, and I see a brother with a long tie, with a suit, long tie on, nice hat, and he's selling wares. And he never introduced himself. He just was very nice and humble, handled us very well. And later on, I got an invite to the study group, and I get there, and this brother here is the trainer of the men. This is my first captain. I still use to this day the training that I received in 1993. It works just as well today as it worked in 1993. At the time, Orlando was under Atlanta. We was under the southern region. I was in my 20s, and I believe brother was in his 30s. Early on, he came down to Orlando. I let him tell his story, but this is a brother that means a lot to me, who had helped shape my foundation. So with all of that, I would like to introduce our brother, my first captain, Brother Michael Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Thank you very much, Brother Jackie. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah. I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. Thank you, Brother Jackie, because I remember very vividly when you came in. I used to take him out. I say, Brother Jackie and his cousins, you all can't make $50. You got to make more than that. You got to make sure that you make enough to sustain yourself. And that is the training that you basically have today. Because we broke it down to its lowest denominator, and now you can brought it up to its highest denominator. So thank you very much, there, Brother Jackson, and the rest of the brothers.
Yes, sir. Brother Michael, make sure you don't have two devices on because we hear echo.
Devices on. I have
Okay.
the phone on.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
On the web? He has to speak through my phone, Brother Jack.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. It's not coming through. Okay. Yes, sir.
The echo that's coming in. It's an echo.
Well, the echo is basically if you speak through Brother Brother Ahmed's phone, we're gonna have to mute. We can't because it's gonna cause a feed. It's causing a feedback. Let's see if we can work on it on the back way. Back.
We just keep moving. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And last but not least, we have another brother from Ohio that absolutely represented in his early days as a soldier in the Nation of Islam. He keep dropping off. I want to introduce you to our brother Robert Muhammad. He will be back on, so we will have an opportunity to interview him as well. But again, I want you to welcome to Ohio brothers, the Ohio brothers to the Job brothers. Let's start off with you, Minister Van.
Yes, sir.
How did you get these teachings, brother?
Brother, all praise is due to Allah. Well, I've been in the nation now, brother, 50 years. And the first time I heard the teaching of Islam was when I was in the county jail when I first heard the teachings of Islam. They had arrested a couple brothers in the nation for selling the Final Call news, the Muhammad Speaks newspaper at that time. And they had him in there for soliciting without a permit after they had warned him several times. And the brother was only in there a day and he started teaching Islam. First time I ever heard the name Elijah Muhammad. First time I ever heard about the Nation of Islam. That was my first introduction into the Nation of Islam. And then when I was 21 years old was the first time that I attended the mosque. And first day I attended, I heard, I listened, and I accepted. And I've been a member of the Nation of Islam ever since. Never quit going back. Never quit going.
Praise be to Allah. You got Brother Michael with you? Okay. So go ahead, brother student.
But also, when I came into the nation, I probably was one of the first brothers in the Youngstown, Ohio area that was very well known and popular because of my background. And so when I came into the Nation of Islam, I was, by God's grace, I was a top paper salesman. I was a top fisherman. I brought more people out to the mosque by God's grace in Youngstown in the history of the mosque. And brothers that not only came out, but stayed. I've held posts in the nation, as you said. I started off as a squad leader, second lieutenant, first lieutenant. I became the captain in the first. And then when I stood up with Minister Farrakhan, I was the first regional secretary in Atlanta, Georgia that he appointed. And then I wanted to go into the ministry. And I asked the minister, could I return to Youngstown to start a study group in Youngstown? And he gave me permission, and I moved back to Youngstown. I started the study group, and we was growing at a very rapid pace for the city. Go ahead.
What year was that you went back?
This was 1983.
83. See, well, now, see, we have to get these timelines, because from what I understand, 50 years, you came in 72.
Yes, sir.
Right?
No, I came in, I'm 71 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
When I came in, I was 21 years old when I accepted Islam.
So let's go back though. I don't want to go 83 so fast.
What year was that?
I came in, I started coming the end of 71 when I first started coming out, December of 71, and I got my ex in 72.
Okay, see, you jumped too far, because Carl, we like to hear what happened right around the messenger.
Yeah, man.
That was all around the messengers. That was when the messenger was among us.
Right.
That was
yeah. You jumped too far ahead.
Okay.
What was the brotherhood like when you first came into the ranks, Minister Van?
Oh, it was solid. By Allah's grace. I guess in Youngstown, we probably had about 65, 70 FOI. The brotherhood was, it was just solid, brother. It was just one of the most beautiful experiences that I ever had in my life. Everyone had a take charge attitude. When I first went to FOI class, they taught us just how to be a brother, how to be a father, how to be a husband, and just an overall good person of character.
What about the racial tension in Ohio at the time? Are you all in one specific area in Ohio, and one community? Is projects? I mean, what?
Well, I came into the nation in Youngstown, Ohio,
right?
And Youngstown was mosque number 9. So we was a small city, but we was very conscious. We were the last city in the numerical number to receive our number, which was great for Youngstown. I give you some magnitude of the consciousness of the city. We had our number before Cleveland got their number, before Philadelphia got their number. We qualified for our number early on in the history of the Nation of Islam.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And but in Ohio, you had, I believe that you had the most mosques in the state of Ohio, in the Nation of Islam. How many?
We had number 5 was Cincinnati, Ohio. Mm-hmm. Number 9 was Youngstown, Ohio. Number 18 was Cleveland, Ohio. Number 37 was Akron, Ohio. And number 43 was Columbus, Ohio. And I think Toledo was, about number, it was later on, but it was like number 60 or something like that.
Oh, praise be to Allah. So what makes Ohio so special? I mean, it's a gangster. I know Youngstown was a gangster city. Youngstown was a gangster city, and I learned that later on watching. I think it was Kill the Irishman, and they was in Youngstown. I'm like, I didn't know Youngstown was a gangster city, but how did that help shape the environment and the attitude of the brotherhood or the sisterhood? Or did it have any effect on it?
Well, it didn't really have an effect on us. We really never paid no attention to it, to be honest. Just like in New York. New York had the reputation of being, rough and tough. But the people that lived in New York, lived in Brooklyn, lived in Harlem, it was just a daily life. It was just what they always knew. We were always aware of the gangsters, and Youngstown was a gangster town. But one thing that I've always liked about Youngstown, we weren't phony or fraudulent. We weren't two-faced, hard, so we basically call a spade pretty much,
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
So I wanted the other brothers to be on so we could kind of like lead everybody in the same line of questioning, but since they're not here, let's move on. Now, when we talked yesterday, Van, I want to ask you this question. I was very I wanted to make sure you was okay with this question. You said you was okay with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this question at you. When the messenger departed, you know, personally, what went on with you? How did that affect you in your growth in Islam? Where did you go from there?
Oh, well, I was devastated like all of the other believing men and believing women in the Nation of Islam. I was on my way to Chicago to Savior's Day, and it was myself and the local brother, the lieutenant, and another brother. And the announcement came in over the radio, just a regular radio. It came that Elijah Muhammad, leader of the Nation of Islam, died so-and-so time. And we were all devastated. Initially, we didn't even believe it. And you have to remember now, that was a time when there was no cell phones or pagers or anything along that line for us to call to verify. So we had to wait till we arrived in Chicago at the Mosque Mariam, you know, to verify that the messenger had transitioned. And then when we got to the mosque, it was the mood of all the brothers and sisters. Even before we got out of the car, we could tell that the information that we had heard over the radio was true, according to, you know, what we understood at that particular time, that the messenger had transitioned.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Hold that thought. Brother Michael, how you doing, brother? I want you to take a moment to tell us how you got the word and, you know, take us up to the point where I guess the messenger departed. See, I can't get him.
No, we can't hear. We can't hear you, brother Mike.
Deal that echo.
We don't hear anything, brother Ahmed.
Yeah, because he was talking to you on the phone.
No, I don't. We're not on the phone.
I mean, earlier, a minute ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'll get back. I'll reach out to him.
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay,
yes, sir. All right, we're gonna try again, brother Mike.
We're gonna get back with you, brother Mike. All right, Minister Van. So that was the mood of the time. Did you stay with the with the imams community the entire time?
Yeah, I stayed with the imam community all the way till 1979. 1979. I stayed with the imam community up until that time when I went to hear Minister Farrakhan at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, and he spoke on Woe to the Hypocrite. When I heard Minister Farrakhan that night, I had recommitted and rededicated myself to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad again, and followed Minister Louis Farrakhan at that very moment.
Were you living in Atlanta?
I was living in Atlanta at that particular time.
Okay. So you had already left Youngstown and came up and I guess came down to Atlanta. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, Minister Van, he shared with me that he was actually at the 81 Savior's Day.
Yes, sir.
Talk on that in the atmosphere at that time and the mood of the crowd when he made that announcement that the messenger was still physically alive. Let's talk on that for a second.
We were all excited. We were all excited. We was all excited over Savior's Day in general. The fact that Minister Farrakhan was able to galvanize the former followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as fragmented as we were all over the country. Those brothers and sisters that did not ever go with Wallace, and those that were with Wallace but knew that there was something not right about the language of the Imam and the language that he used in terms of Master Farad Muhammad and the messenger, but we didn't have nowhere to go in our minds, so we remained with Wallace at that particular time. And when we heard Minister Louis Farrakhan, the majority of us that were in a position like myself, we stood up immediately to work with Minister Louis Farrakhan to rebuild the Nation of Islam. And it was a mood of joy. Everyone was excited. We hadn't felt that kind of brotherhood since the messenger had left. We knew that we were building the Nation of Islam as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, where we were building a new world order. And we had all of the confidence in the world in Minister Farrakhan that he was the one to remind us of what the messenger taught and to reestablish the discipline and the education that was required to do something for ourselves and rebuild the Nation of Islam as taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Praise be to Allah.
But before we go, I know because now we're at the rebuilding stage, but I want to take your mind back to prior to 75, you know, and now the comparison now, you know, that we're in a dark hour now. Are there any similarities to the time that you feel maybe now to then prior to the departure of the messenger or not?
These are some trying times for the believers.
Yes, sir.
And the Holy Quran says, "Oh, ye who believe, seek assistance through patience and prayer, for surely Allah is with the patient." For surely, you know, he should try us and test us. And our nation at this particular time is just going through a tremendous trial and test, you know, and Allah is the best knower. Those of us that follow the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we're going to be saved. And those of us that don't, you know, we're just going to have to buckle up for a rough ride, because you're going to have to follow it 100% to the T or not follow it at all. We won't be able to accept some of it and reject another part of it. You understand what I'm saying?
That was a great
There's
answer.
no God but Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, and that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the man that met God.
Right.
And everything that he told us was the truth and will come into fruition. And that's what's so beautiful about the day and time that we're living in, is because everything that the man told us was going to take place, we see it taking place right before our very eyes. It was like he told us what the future was going to be. Maybe some of us didn't believe it, and the way we act, a lot of us didn't believe it, but he told us what the future was going to hold. And if we would have really been listening, we would have been able to take advantage of it and have money, good homes, and friendship in all walks of life. We would have been able to take advantage, and we still have opportunities, but we have to really buckle down and get down to some basics.
Oh, yes, sir.
So, okay. When did you become the regional minister, and how did you get that post?
I was appointed to the regional minister position in 1988. It was vacant at that particular time. It had no minister. There was no minister in Atlanta. Brother Sadiq Muhammad, who was the regional captain, was the officer in charge. And Minister Farrakhan was looking around the country to place someone in the ministry. And I was in Youngstown, Ohio. And at that time, I think we had about 20 believers. And my name kept coming up to Minister Farrakhan, that I would make a good candidate minister for that particular position, because number one, I lived in Atlanta before, and I stood up to help him in Atlanta when I became the Southern Regional Secretary. And I just knew the city, I knew the community, I knew the city, I knew the fabric of the city, I knew how it operated and how it worked. I knew people already that was in politics, that was in the religious community, and I was just recommended by different brothers on the national level, Brother Minister Akbar Muhammad, who I thank Almighty God, Allah, for. Brother Minister Abdul Allah, may Allah be pleased with him, who I thank Allah for. Brother Secretary Wan, at that time, who was the national secretary, may Allah be pleased with him, was one of the brothers. And also Brother Captain Sadiq Muhammad, who I soldiered with in Youngstown, who we came in the nation with. Brother Sadiq and Brother Robert Muhammad, we all came into the nation together. In fact, we were all in the streets together. All of us were dope fiends together, heroin addicts in the street.
Wow.
And we came into the Nation of Islam at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, it's so wonderful that you brought up Brother Sadiq, because he was also a part of the equation that we wanted to discuss when it came down to the brothers from Ohio. And you all have a tight history. And
yes, sir.
Okay, so now you move back to Youngstown, and it's 1988. The minister is looking for a regional head or head of Atlanta.
Yes.
And what was Atlanta a regional mosque prior to that?
It was a regional mosque prior to that, but Atlanta really I think prior to Brother Khaled, I don't know if anyone was officially the regional minister, but the minister of Atlanta always officiated over the cities that were in the states that were in the southern region.
Okay.
So I don't know if they actually held the title as local minister as well as regional minister. But all the ministers that was in Atlanta, they overseen, the whole region. Now, first brother who I would like to give credit to when I return to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad under Brother Minister Farrakhan, his name was Brother Shaka, Brother Lewis. He was the first brother that was the minister in Atlanta, Georgia, under Brother Minister Farrakhan. He was the minister, and Brother Sylvester Muhammad in Atlanta, who you all know. He was my first study group coordinator when I first came back and embraced the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad under Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan. Brother Sylvester was my study group coordinator.
Yes, sir.
And he was a good coordinator. He was very good.
Shout out to Brother Sylvester, man. I love Brother Sylvester.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah.
I mean, Brother Sylvester was my first study group coordinator. And when I became the regional minister, I had Brother Sylvester as my regional investigator. Also, he held that title the whole time I was the regional minister. And I had Brother Sylvester as my regional secretary because Brother Sylvester is a very no-nonsense brother.
Right.
And he don't play no games.
Right.
Everything with him is either black or white.
Yes,
and Brother Sylvester is the type of brother that, he speaks his mind. And because I wanted to be a good minister, and I was a new minister, and I didn't want such an august position as a regional minister to go to my head, I wanted to always have someone around me that if I was getting other than myself, that would check me, that would pull me to the side and tell me, Brother Minister, I think you're wrong. And he was and is that kind of brother. And he was so valuable to me. I don't care what meeting I was in, I always had Brother Sylvester there because I respected his input.
Yes,
Absolutely.
sir.
Absolutely.
We got you, Brother Michael. Can we hear you now?
Yes, sir. You still can hear me through the phone.
Praise be to Allah. Mr. Man, I got some tough questions for you coming up.
Okay, sir.
I want to, we went over them already though. So, but let's Brother Michael get some of this action.
And then, Brother Van, you could talk to us about you opening up these businesses and the different businesses you opening up in Atlanta, man.
Yes,
I was
sir.
really inspired when I came into the mosque. Brother Van had this open and that business. I was like, I was very inspired with hearing those inspirational information. Okay, go ahead, Brother Khalid. Sorry.
Yes, sir. No problem, bro. You all right, Brother Michael? Tell me how you got that word. Tell me what the spirit was like, and take us up to the message of departure.
Well, I wasn't in the nation when the messenger departed.
Okay, yes,
but
sir.
I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in 1979 at Oberlin College, where the title was "Wars Gathered Together for the Doomed." We went up over to college in a snowstorm. Brother Robert, Brother Latif took me up there, and we couldn't leave. So we stayed with the minister all night. The minister taught us all night, and that just sealed the deal for me. So I came in 81, I couldn't come to Savior's Day. I mean, it really took me aback that I couldn't go to Savior's Day in 81. So I moved to Atlanta as a result, so that I could come to Savior's Day the next time that it came in 82. But I had already written my letter, and I was accepted. My letter was accepted. I moved to Atlanta, where we actually had a strong mosque in Atlanta at that time. When Brother Van came in and became the secretary, I was there, and we moved around with the minister the whole time because the team wasn't in place at that time. So we all just rolled with the minister. We drove the minister, we rode with the minister. It was a good time that we had with the minister. He taught us the whole time. So in 83, wasn't Brother Van had moved back to Youngstown, and he wanted me to help him in Youngstown. So I said that I will. And it's interesting because he said that I hesitated when he asked me. Come help me in Youngstown. I said, yes, sir, I will come and help you.
But we just had a unity there in Youngstown. And when he came and went to Atlanta for that, he came again and asked me, can I help him in Atlanta? So I moved to Atlanta at that time. He became the paper captain and the whole works. We developed a team that we moved all across the southern region. In that southern region, we went to many states and opened up those areas for the minister to come and teach all the cities in the southern region. And that particularly was a good time for us in Atlanta. Then in 90 and 91, I moved to Orlando, Florida. I wanted to take that unity that we had in Atlanta and take it to another city where we had a group of young brothers, like Brother Jackie said. I don't think we had any brother over 25 years old.
No.
So
Right.
we wanted to groom them brothers. We wanted to groom the brothers because they was coming in as young men. So they needed to know how to be entrepreneurs. So we instilled that, but we instilled that in unity. It was a unity that we had. You know, a lot of people say car washes and fish fries is just there to make money, but it's there for unity.
That's right.
It brings the group together. And that's what we did in Atlanta. And I used to take the brothers out. We just had fun making money. You know, they say, let's make some money. You know, and that was the thing that attracted Brother Jackie, like you mentioned. And we went from there, and it grew from that particular point.
Praise
Because,
be
you
to
know,
Allah.
the thing is that you got to break it down. You know, if you're doing $50, I mentioned before, you know, it equals like $350. I mean, a week. I mean, it's not a lot of money, but you know, what if you double it? You got to keep doubling it. You know, and that's what was taught. Let's double that money that you had. Instead of $50, make it $100 a day you make. Instead of $100, let's make it $150 a day. Instead of $150, let's make it $200 a day. And that's the way you build. And that's what encouraged us in Orlando to get a brotherhood. We had a team of about 10 brothers, young brothers. Like I said, one over 25. And I mean, we worked it out.
We worked it out.
Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
Oh, we worked it out, bro. I'm talking about, man, we would drive from the top of Florida to the bottom of Florida and get off on every exit. All right, brothers, we're going to drop 10, we're going to drop 20 buttons, and then we're going to get back on the exit and go to the next city. That's how we hit them, man. And by the end of the night, we count up, man. We go to a restaurant, we pour all our money on the table, we count up, man.
That's right.
And we eat and dine and we enjoy each other's company, man. I had so much fun during that time, brother. So yeah, we do that. Yes, sir.
That's what we taught.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Let us get some of that brother Robert in the mix. How you doing there, brother Robert?
Assalamu alaikum, sir. How you doing, Kwawi?
You never introduced him, bro, Kawi.
I did not, didn't I?
You didn't. No,
No,
sir.
sir.
Hey, but brother Robert, man, this brother here, I remember when I was first in the mosque, I would see this brother come through. This brother was always polite to me. He was always highly respected by other brothers. Never heard a bad word about this guy. I understand him to have been a captain before. Am I right about that, sir?
Yes, sir. In Miami, I was in Miami. I had the whole state of Florida and the islands.
That's right. Under Minister B.I.
I'm the Minister BR. Yes, sir.
Oh,
Without further ado, I want to introduce our brother Robert Muhammad. Give an open words, soldier.
Well, assalamu alaikum to the family, man. It's an honor to be on with you guys. I tell you, through my tenure in this nation, it's been an uphill road all the way. And, you know, you just got to struggle with it. You got to go with it all the way up. And Brother Van and my blood brother, they know the struggles that I had went through and went through. And it's a road that you have to just navigate. And what I start saying nowadays, here's what I say all the time. You know, I'm not driving the car, but I'm riding in it.
Yes,
And
sir.
wherever that car takes me, that's where we're going. So wherever Allah it takes me to, that's where I'm gonna be at.
Praise
So
be to
that's what I say.
And
You
bro,
know.
Robert, But before we get into the question, I know they all were moving out of Ohio. What was your mindset leaving your home state? And what year was that when you left?
Hell, that doggone band talked me into it. Band came down. Band came down to Atlanta first, and of course, me and Sadiq, we was looking to get up out of Ohio anyway, and so that's how we came down there. But I seen Brother Minister in I think it was Orgulthar was the name of the college. This was back in '78, and I was fortunate enough to get into the room with him. And he asked me where I was living. I told him I was in Atlanta, but I moved back to Ohio because one of the brothers, his name is, it was, what was his name?
Wait, so you had left.
All right, don't worry about it, man.
Hey, man, if they don't be around you, boy, you forget their name.
Wait, you left Ohio, met with Minister Van down in Ohio, and then came back?
Well, yeah, Youngstown was my original home.
Right.
All of my family members was up there. And so it was an easy thing for me to be up there. But I wasn't like Mike. Mike went down, moved back to Ohio to actually take care of his mother and his father. But I was stuck because I had so many children. I didn't see no way of moving back to Ohio. Man, you know, when you're dealing with 6, 7, 8 children, boy, it's a monster thing to do. But I met with Minister Farrakhan, and I told him that I would come back to Ohio. He said, "No, I'll go down to Atlanta and meet a brother named Shaka, and you help him out." This was in '79, I believe. Yeah, I think it was '79 that I came back to help out with Shaka. But after that time, I was just fortunate. I think the minister trusted me a lot because I'm one of only 2 people that I know of that would go into the room with Minister Farrakhan and he would be asleep. And it would be, I would answer his phone for him. And it was probably because of Josh. Josh was he really took a liking to us, you know, to the brothers from Ohio. He really liked us a lot. And that's how we developed, you know, and moved on.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Wow.
You know, Minister Van brought up a great point that you all were friends, y'all were childhood friends, and then to come into the Nation of Islam and still be, you know, brothers and become, you know, full-fledged, really brothers, you know, in the Nation of Islam. When I came in as well, I came in with some brothers that I hung in the street with, you know, and this, you know, just joining the Nation of Islam together gave us that, you know, forever long pact, you know. So I'm just wondering, man, you know, you all are now, we talking about the 70s and the 80s, and now we in 2022, and, you know, you brothers still hanging together, you still communicating, you know. What's that like, man? What do you have to say to our people out here, man, that the Nation of Islam create that real brotherhood, you know?
Well, let me just go first if I can. You know, a brotherhood is a friend is a friend. The Holy Quran said you only got friends. Your friend is Allah, the messenger, and the believer. So if you're dealing with a believer, man, it should be an easy road for you to stay friends. And when you're dealing with a disbeliever, then you got problems. So you know, all of us is just believers. Yes. And it just, if you're a believer, man, in fact, we probably into the Noah stage now. We know it. We know this is the right way to go. That's right. And so I've been well, I got my ex in 1970. So in that time period, I had forerunners before me. Like I had a brother that was in the nation, and on his way to Savior's Day in '68, the bus turned over. I was still in the armed forces, but the bus turned over, And my brother, being the kind of brother he was, he jumped out and they was going to get somebody to come back and help because it was on the Indiana Turnpike. If you know anything about that turnpike, you can't really be turning around on that bad boy. But they tried to do it, and when they turned into the lane, and it was foggy, a truck hit them from behind, and the car caught on fire, killed my brother, killed Sadiq's cousin, first cousin. And so we were always tight after that, just finding a way that we could work things out. Now, don't get us wrong. Now, we'll argue in a minute. But,
yes, sir.
But don't get it twisted now. But at the bottom line,
Comments bad.
Hey, we argue too. We argue too, brother.
But the bottom line is, it's like my wife. I've been married to this girl for 57 years, man. It's just, you just argue, and after you get arguing, then we settle the argument, and then we go on about our business like nothing happened. So, that's how I got to go, man. You got to throw, like when I came into the nation, they told me all of your sin, when you come into the nation, is thrown into the sea of forgetfulness. In other words, you're not held accountable for whatever in the hell you did before you come in the nation.
Right.
So that's what I go by. That's what I live by.
Yes, sir. All right, Minister Van.
Yes, sir.
All right. So it was told to me that Minister Collett was the minister over Atlanta before you took the post, or before you was assigned Atlanta. He was
sir.
He was very popular. He was a national spokesman, very popular brother in the Nation of Islam and beyond the walls of the Nation of Islam.
Yes, sir.
And there's no disrespect to you, but I guess at the time you was considered a virtual unknown, but yet you was put into that regional minister position. How did you navigate that, being that you a person of that type of popularity was just here before you, and now you come, and people don't know you like that. How did you navigate that? How did you get to the point where you kind of developed a legend, for the works you did?
Well, first of all, I was humbled and thankful that Brother Minister Farrakhan chose me, because there were so many other brothers and sisters brothers in the nation that were ministers over large mosques that had a track record in the Nation of Islam, that was much greater than myself, being in Youngstown, Ohio. And I was just thankful that Minister Farrakhan gave me the chance. And I was so determined not to let him down. I didn't want to disappoint him. I've done everything that I could to make sure that I would make my word my bond when I said that I was going to help him to build the city of Atlanta. And then when I was given the commission as the Southern Regional Minister to be the best regional minister that I possibly could. But the fact that I didn't have all of those letters and wasn't that well known was really one of my strengths, because I had no place else to go but up.
Yeah, that's right.
Because everyone underestimated me. They would see me. Wasn't a boisterous brother or anything along that line. I didn't, act like I was no kind of big shot. I just was always thankful to be a member in the Nation of Islam. And because I didn't think that I knew it all, it forced me to rely on Allah. It forced me to rely on the teachings, everything that I had been taught. And I had some great teachers, when I came into the Nation of Islam in Youngstown, Ohio. The brother that brought me into the Nation of Islam, Brother Albert, who's now Brother Latif. He was one of the greatest one-on-one teachers that I ever had in my life. He taught me of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the reality of God. And he was just a great example of just making things happen. There was no such thing as we can't do this. It's just a matter of how do we figure it out to make the impossible possible. And he gave us the example of Moses, and he gave us the example of Joshua when he went into the promised land and was told, when he sent the the 4 men out to the promised land and to survey it and to go out and tell them what they seen. And 2 of them came back and reported big giants. And Joshua, he seen something altogether different. He seen big giants, but he also seen what it was going to be like after the giants were removed, and it was big grapes. And that's how he trained Brother Robert, Brother Sadiq, his brother Albert, that there's nothing that we can't do if we put our mind to it. We have to look beyond all obstacles and try to overcome them. As the lesson says, what is a fruit? A fruit is the best. That we're constantly training and conditioning ourselves to meet and overcome all obstacles in our life. We believe that as men belonging to the military unit of the Nation of Islam, 100%. We didn't believe that there was nothing that we could not accomplish.
That's
the messenger
right.
said we can do something for self. Whatever the messenger said we can do. When he said and told us that we are God, we walk like we were God. We talk like we were God. And we act like we were God. In every place we went as men in the Nation of Islam, people wanted to know who we were. He made a distinction of the black man in the Nation of Islam different from any black man in America, any black man in the world. You could tell that that was something different about that black man. He didn't sloop down. Elijah Muhammad taught us how to walk. He taught us how to talk. He taught us how to sit down in a chair. He taught us how to run. He taught us how to act at home, and he taught us how to act abroad. There was no place that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did not tell us how to carry ourselves as men belonging to the military unit of the Nation of Islam. And the same thing applied to the sisters.
Come on, man.
He taught them how to act at home, and he also taught them how to act abroad. And when he seen what Allah had blessed him with in the black man and woman, Elijah Muhammad said that he could tell the whole world that he has some of the most beautiful followers anywhere in the world.
They bearing witness in the comments, Brother Van. You
Yeah,
did that, brother.
And because of your political attachments, and you knew the people you know in different areas in Atlanta, did it make it easier for you to transition in this position and set up businesses and connections throughout the city?
Brother, that's an interesting question. You know, we say that Allah is the best knower. And we say that Allah is the best knower because he knows what is in our heart, and he knows what is not in our heart. And he knows the unseen. He knows tomorrow when we don't even know it. He knows that there's certain individuals today that are going to be used for tomorrow. When I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, I was working for New York Life Insurance Company in Atlanta, Georgia, which is a very conservative company. And when I was working for New York Life Insurance Company, I was at that time I was with Imam W.D. Muhammad. And I had one foot in, one foot out. I used to work at one of the most popular clubs in Atlanta, Georgia, called Cisco.
I thought you were gonna say
Cisco's.
Mr. V.
No,
No,
don't go
Cisco's
there.
was before Mr. V's. Cisco's was the cream of nightclubs in Atlanta, Georgia. Everybody that was who's who used to come to Cisco's.
Yes, sir.
This is what's so ironic. The brother that was, I don't know if he still is, the brother that was over the Georgia Dome, the general manager of the Georgia Dome, his name was Khalil Johnson. I met Khalil Johnson at Cisco's. This is before I returned to the teaching. I met Bill Campbell in Cisco's when they were just young men just getting out of college before their political careers started and took off.
Yes,
Most
sir.
of the men that I met in Cisco's, because it was the who's who, the professional class, were men of prominence when I became the regional minister. So I already had a relationship with them. So Allah he put me in an atmosphere, in an environment at that time to prepare me for a position that was awaiting me, which was the regional minister. So when I became the regional minister and I went to them, oh man, I know they knew me as Abdul. I said, Abdul, I know him. What's going on? I was respected even when I was in the club by Allah's grace.
Praise be to Allah.
And they knew that I was a member of the Nation of Islam, that I was a Muslim. And at that time, interaction with Muslims was new because Wallace, took a lot of the laws and restrictions away from the Muslims. And so a lot of brothers that was in the masjid, they were going to clubs also. And so speaking of Brother Robert and Brother Sadiq, I was working at Cisco's and I was working on the door, and I had a confrontation with a brother in Cisco's. He challenged me. He knew something. He didn't know my name. He knew something about me, but he didn't know. And anyway, him and his partners was, talking like they was going to do something to me afterwards. They had no clue who I was. I called Brother Robert and called Brother Sadiq and told them to come down to the club. Brother Robert and Brother Sadiq came down to the club like cold gangsters.
This Robert here? This Robert here?
We scared them Negroes in that club to death. And when they walked in, I pointed to the two brothers that was talking all that talk, the Brother Sadiq and Brother Robert. And each one of them went in two different directions around the club, around them. And man, I'm telling you, but they all respected me. And so the experience that I had working with New York Life Insurance Company helped me tremendously when I became the regional minister.
Brother Robert, you want to add to that story, brother?
Let's hear the war story, Brother Robert.
Hey, man, it is what it is.
Did you?
Hey, it just is what it is. The theme of the men that grew up in Youngstown, Ohio, we weren't scared of nothing, man, really, to be honest with you. In fact, somebody talk about they want to fight us. First thing come out of my mouth was, man, there ain't nothing between us but air and opportunity, Chief. So, you just got to bring it. You bring something, you get, we gonna do our thing. Brother Van was always a good friend of mine. Sadiq, I got to tell you about Sadiq. Sadiq, when he was about 9 years old, I was trying to date his sister. That's how I met Sadiq, and I was always real cordial to Sadiq, because Sadiq, to me, I felt like he was one of those ones that would spearhead anything. He would go into any place, anywhere, and he didn't show fear. So that's the relationship that was built upon. And when we was in that world, my wife met Sadiq, and when she met Sadiq, she instantly became his sister. And he was always around. He would look after the children for us and everything. Sadiq was a top-notch fella, if you really know him. He would give you anything out of his pocket. And so it was one of those kind of people that was built around, like he said, Brother Albert, but we just had that brotherhood. And there's nothing like a brotherhood.
Yes,
and that's what I suggest to y'all, man. Just be brothers. And that's all. Just be brothers, man. And you can make it through the world if you just be a brother. And it's a hard job. Now, I'm not saying it's an easy job.
That's right.
But but just be a brother. Want for your brother what you want for yourself.
Right.
All right. We about to go into a commercial break, but we're gonna come back with a question for you, Brother Michael. And then after that, we're gonna get into 1992. We're gonna talk about the Omni and the Georgia Dome. So commercial break. Take off, Ahmed.
Praise be to Allah. As we spoke about it before, Jock Brothers, you can see us and view us on YouTube and Facebook. We air at 7 p.m. on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday night. You can also check out our past videos on YouTube at Jock Brothers, on YouTube at Jock Brothers, and Facebook at Jock Brothers. We also are pushing the prison initiative, where you can help and assist in helping us to get the baddest, boldest Black-owned newspaper, The Final Call, to our brothers and sisters behind the prison walls that are currently incarcerated. You can support us at $Jock Bros, $Jock Bros. You see it scrolling across the bottom of the screen. And you can reach us at the email at jockbrothersviewers@gmail.com, jockbrothersviewers@gmail.com. We also have our businesses. The Jock Brothers are businesses in our own entities. I myself, Brother Ahmed, am a book publisher. Right now I have one children's book out. Right now it's called Bilal and the Bullies. You can purchase it on Amazon, amazon.com. Bilal and the Bullies, a very inspiring story about a young man who dealt with bullying as a young man and was able to hail truth at falsehood without even lifting a hand and deal with the bullies in an intelligent way. Something to read, something that the children could read to be inspired. And I'm a Black author, so that's definitely something to support. We also have our brother Kawi, who is our realtor. And if you're looking to purchase a home or get an apartment, he's the man to call. Commercial buildings, private homes, or even investing. You can call Brother Kawi. If any of the Ohio brothers who don't live in Atlanta want to move back, we can get you a place. We can get you a Atlanta is your home if you deal with Brother Kawi. You're going to have to pay me for that one, Brother Kawi. We also have our brother Jackie, who has a company called Supreme Waste Management. Supreme Waste Management, where Supreme Waste Removal. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about the website.
Yes, sir.
Supreme Waste Removal, where he delivers dumpsters for cleanup and garbage removal or debris removal. You can also contact him through our Jock Brothers email if you have any business that you need or any demolition where there needs to be dumpsters placed or removed. Brother Jackie is the man to call. All of these companies are Black-owned businesses, and we support the Jock Brothers. We support the Nation of Islam, and we support our community. Thank you, Brother Kawi. Back to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Brother Michael, it is said that you started an advanced team. You kind of like that came out of your mind, an advanced team that I guess followed the minister wherever he went. I guess tell us about that. I heard a lot of stories. I want you to confirm it.
Well, I did not start the team, Brother Van. It was Brother Van's idea, and I was just one of the ones that helped him with that particular venture. I mean, I just headed the team for him as he had the responsibility in Atlanta, Georgia. So I was the one that actually took the men around to basically help, and we just started that team, the advanced team. Like you said, we just didn't have no fear, so we went anywhere. We could go anywhere. We set up shop. Our offices was on the corner of every street. That's what was our office. So we didn't have that fear that would come with most people coming out and being on the streets. Even in Orlando, we took that same spirit down to Orlando. There wasn't nobody on the streets when we went down there. They were scared to be on the street corners, and we went on the street corners and did the same thing. We took that same unity that we had in Atlanta down to Orlando, and we took that training that we had with the advanced team, because that team was nothing like any team in the country. We went anywhere, and we helped the minister wherever it was needed.
So was that okay? So that was like the first team that went anywhere. So that kind of I don't know. I'm just reaching. I could, I want you to correct me. Is this like before E-Team came about? Is that before?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was before the E-Team. Brother Van had set up that team there in Atlanta before the E-Team that actually got started with putting the brothers together to follow the minister around. And we put that team together, and that was copied.
Hey, but Michael,
I wouldn't say they copied it. I wouldn't say they copied it. Remember, those were Brother Michael's words.
But they seen it. We actually seen the team that we had because they summoned us in all the cities. Whenever they needed help in the southern region, they summoned us to come and help in that city.
Right. Yes, sir.
I got to bear witness to that, because when I came in for the first year, we never registered, man. We just started working. And I'm telling you, we just started working and we was everywhere. And just like Brother Michael saying, they seen us everywhere and they just like, man, these brothers be on every scene, man. So we had all the behind the scenes details. We had the minister's door. We pick him up off the plane. I mean, we had all the details. We had airport detail under Brother Michael. We had airport detail in everywhere, every city we went, because they seen us. We had that same advanced spirit. Everywhere the minister went, we'll be there beforehand. We'll be there beforehand when he get there, and then we'll be there while he's there, and we'll be there while the wheels after the wheels go up when he leaves. I'm telling you, man. So I bear witness to that. I was trained under that.
We trained the man to go in. We had airport runs when we trained the man to go to the airport before the minister, and how we was going to actually go through the airport before the minister got there.
Yeah.
Yes. That's right.
Nothing at all.
Yes.
See, man, that's a story that needed to get out, brother. Who knew?
That was like Brother Michael said. Let me tell you how the advanced team started. It started with the Stop the Killing tour. When Minister Farrakhan came to Atlanta, Georgia, if I can just advance it to what you said you wanted to talk about, was the Omni. When the Minister Farrakhan started doing the Stop the Killing around the country. And when he came to Atlanta, Georgia, I told the minister that I found a venue we was going to go to, and I told him the Omni. The Omni at that particular time was the largest arena in Atlanta, Georgia, that held the most people in one venue. It was 17,000 people. And when I told Minister Farrakhan that I was going to bring him to the 17,000, Minister Farrakhan said, "Brother, are you sure?" I said, "Brother, Minister, I'm 100% confident that we can fill that arena up." And he said, "Well, okay, brother." And that's how it all started. And I just had a group of brothers and sisters that had confidence in me, that worked with me day and night to make it a reality. But one of the things that we had done in Atlanta, Georgia, prior to the Omni, we had laid the groundwork. Because I knew at one point, sooner or later, Minister Farrakhan was going to come to Atlanta. And I knew that I was going to need the support of the politicians, the religious community, as well as the business community. So I'd done my advanced work, and anything that was going on in the city of Atlanta, I was a part of it. If any of the churches had anything going on, I was a part of it. Anything that was going on politically, I was a part of it. I supported it. If they was having any kind of banquet, we bought tables. I was always there. The next thing we done was we increased our visibility in the city of Atlanta, Georgia to the max. We strategically mapped the Beltway 285, and we took the 285 and we mapped every strategic exit. When you go on 285 off of every major exit, we had brothers positioned and stationed there for morning drive, noon drive, as well as going home drive, evening drive. We knew when the majority of the people were going to be in their cars in Atlanta, Georgia, and we capitalized on that. I used to promote concerts. So when I used to promote concerts, we knew when the best time to buy radio spots was morning drive, noon, and going home drive. That's when the majority of the people was in their car. So we took advantage of that. And I had brothers that was working with me, and we had maximum visibility in the city of Atlanta. Every place you would go, you would see brothers on the corner, suited and booted. Suit and tie, haircut, shoes shine, knowing how to operate and work that corner. Every one of those corners, Brother Sadiq, Brother Robert, and Brother Sadiq worked with me to train the brothers on the corners. Because Brother Sadiq and Brother Robert, we were trained in working the corners in Youngstown, Ohio. And so we knew how to maneuver throughout traffic safely. And so we utilized those brothers, and they trained all of the FOI. And so every time you would turn around, you seen an FOI somewhere in the city of Atlanta. We circled the city. We circled Decatur. We circled College Park, East Point, Jonesboro. All of those exits, we had them maxed out. And when the traffic was back up at the light, we had brothers walking down, pointing their fingers. You know, if they didn't buy paper, that was okay with us, because our main purpose was visibility. See us, look at us, see the discipline that we had. To ask the question, who are these men? What make them come out here every day, smiling through rain and through wind? We was just always there. And that's what we developed, and that's how we captured the heart and the respect of Atlanta, Georgia, as well as the political community, the religious community, and the other Muslims bow down to the followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. If you would ask where are the Muslims in Atlanta, they would always point you to where we were, on the corner of Ashby and Martin Luther King. We had a presence that was so hard that as far as anyone was concerned, we were the only Muslims in town, even though there were other Muslims groups, but we were the dominant force in that town.
Praise be to Allah.
It's a couple of people names I want to mention, man. They've been on the show. They've been really commenting a lot on the show. Minister Van, I will just give a little mention. I got a Brenda Muhammad. She's been giving you a shout out since you said Assalamu alaikum.
Oh man, but Sister Brenda Muhammad, she was our first manager at our restaurant. I could not give her enough.
Let's talk about
those show enough gratitude to her.
Let's talk about those businesses. I may want to talk about them the businesses that you open up.
Yes. Well, the first business that we opened up, we were was the place, the meeting where we was holding our meetings. We were looking for a place that we could meet. And we found a place at 880 Martin Luther King. That was our first established building that was ours. And I found that place because I knew we could use it for twofold. We could hold our meeting in the back, which held about 100 to 125. And then we also had a kitchen facility where we would set up our restaurant. And that was our first established business that we had. And it produced the necessary revenue that we needed to maintain our building, to maintain our obligatory charity. We were making so much money through that business that we did not need the believers. When they paid charity, we split the charity up between National Center and obligatory charity, national obligatory charity and number 2 poor, because we had enough money coming in from our businesses to run our operation.
Come on, man.
And Sister Brenda she was my first manager, and she was the best manager. She cooked, she took orders, she cleaned, she done it all. And she was just such a tremendous help to me because I could leave that business and I knew it was in good hands. She never was afraid there by herself. She handled that business.
You got a Sister Nicole, you got a Minister Stanley. Oh, Minister Stanley checking you out, Brother Ronald.
Yes, sir.
You had a cleaners and a barbershop as well?
Yes, sir. We had a dry cleaners. We did not have a barbershop, but we had a dry cleaners. We purchased the dry cleaners. It was a bit cleaners that was across the street from where we was meeting at 880. And I negotiated with the brother that owned it to lease the cleaners from him. And it was just beautiful. Everything was in the beginning stages, you know. We had at one point we had 2 restaurants, a bakery, and a cleaners. And we also had the mosque, which was on Ashby Street. At that time, we moved from 880. We opened up our mosque over on Ashby Street, where the brothers and sisters meet at now, at Sister Precious Muhammad building.
Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. So, brother Michael, let me ask a question. When you came down to Orlando, was it already a study group there, or did you foundation that study group in Orlando?
No, sir, it wasn't nothing there. when we came down, when we brought the family down. We started in the building at 750 OBT. And out of that, we started in the conference room. We started showing videos of the minister. And out of that, that's when brothers fished about 6 brothers in. Brother John Muhammad, we could never thank Brother John enough. He fished about at least 5 young brothers ranging from 16 to 18 years old. And that's spearheaded. We met in the conference room and we just got too big. The doctor that owned the building, he gave us everything. He put us in another room that was a larger room. We brought Brother BR down. We brought Brother Van down. So we started growing in leaps and bounds just because of that study group that we had right there. There was nothing going on, period, at that time. And we just brought that same spirit that we had in Atlanta down to Orlando. That spirit was, it was wonderful. It's definitely wonderful. And once we got it established, and then of course we had Brother Howard that came down and brought some products down. The products that he had was the juice products, that was helping with the finance of the brotherhood. Once we started having additional finance for the brotherhood, we took off, like nobody's business. But one of the things that I definitely wanted to talk about was the product. The product that we have, we always talk about product because individuals always talk about working for yourself. But when you work for yourself, you're nothing but a product. That product that you're dealing with is yourself. And who is yourself? Yourself is a righteous Muslim.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, that was one of the questions that I was going to ask, and somebody in the listening audience asked that. And every time we speak to brothers who are on those teams, going in advance, moving around with the minister, how do you support yourself? But I'm glad you started to speak about the different products you had and the different programs that you would get the brothers or introduce the brothers that they wouldn't have to depend on a regular job.
Yes. Let me, Brother Ahmed, one of the things about the Vance team, all the brothers that was on the Vance team, so when we filled up the Omni by Allah's grace, we had to turn around. We had a crowd that we had to turn people away because the fire marshal came in and got at the doors and wouldn't let nobody else come in. And what we basically done was when Minister Farrakhan left Atlanta, he wanted to go throughout the southern region. And what we had to put together was an advanced team headed by Brother Michael to go into all of the cities to, survey the layout of the land. We had a step program that we had to check off when we went into the city. We had to go in and find out where the police department was in proximity to the convention center. We had to find out where the nearest hospital was in the event if there was an emergency. We had an emergency route that was set up if we had to take the minister or any other the believers to the hospital. What was going to be the route that we had? We had runs in every city that we had. The advanced team we were so organized. We would have trial runs before the minister get into the city. We taught the brothers how to ride in a caravan. We taught the brothers that was the lead car and the backup car, how to maneuver throughout the city. Another thing was, because it was such an intense job, we had brothers that we brought into the city, into those cities with us, and all the expenses was paid. The brothers didn't have to use their own money. If we took them, then we was on the road 2 weeks before the minister came there. Headquarters in the southern region, we covered the hotel, we covered the food, we covered all of the expenses for the brothers when they went into those cities. They didn't have to worry about that. Then Brother Michael and Brother Jackie talked about the buttons. We also had buttons which read, "Drugs, don't try it, don't buy it." And we gave the brothers buttons to go and sell in those cities while they were there, that would bring revenue into the brothers' pockets so they could have money as well. But the money that they would make off the buttons was their money. We still paid for the expenses.
Yes, sir.
And I bought so
And
many.
we called the team the advanced team because we went in there in the head of the minister to make sure that everything was taken care of and that we had all of the I's dotted and T's crossed. And then later on, we weren't the first one that probably had a team, but we was the first one that gave our team a name.
Well, praise be to Allah. Well, I'm telling you, I was a part of that. I was trained under that. My brother Michael, I'm telling you, that training sticks to this day. When I go to a city, the same training. We got to know exactly where the hospital is. We have to know where the police department, man. We have to know these things. So praise be to Allah for the brotherhood. Thank y'all for that. But them buttons, Brother Michael, I mean, we bought plenty of suits. I mean, we fed the multitude with buttons, the button program. 30 cents, we had to pay 30 cents a button, but we sold it for $1 or $2, for the donation. Brother Michael was out at home pressing all day and night. So praise be to Allah, man. We definitely took care of our family with the buttons.
Hey, bro, Robert, you had to move your family down to Florida?
Well, like I told you, Brother Van had talked me into coming down there. I came down to look at it, but I was impressed by the things that Atlanta presented, and that's what made me come down. In fact, that rascal talked me into going down to Griffin to be the minister in Griffin.
Yeah, you was in Griffin when I first came in. But what about Florida?
Van.
Yeah, you was captain in Florida. You had to move your family down there as well?
I didn't go that far because when I went down to Florida, down to Miami, it wasn't conducive for me. I didn't like it in that respect, So I didn't go down there. I didn't move my family down there.
Yes, sir.
That would have been a major task.
I by Allah's grace asked Brother Robert to go to Griffin, Georgia, because when Brother Robert and I was like close. So even though I was his minister, I still was his old school hustling partner. And so he would talk to me different than everybody else. Every brother minister this, brother minister that. And Brother Robert, because we're him and our partners, he kind of talked to me a little rough every now and then. He always had something to say when I was the minister. I said, well, okay, Brother Robert, go on down to. So I sent Brother Robert to Griffin to get him out of my hair.
All right. Come on now.
I said, go on down to Griffin, Brother Robert. And I sent Brother Robert down there. I never thought that Brother Robert would really get Griffin going. I just wanted him out of my hair, give him something to do. And I went down to Griffin, and Brother Robert had Griffin smoking. And I never heard Brother Robert teach before. And I went down to Griffin and heard Brother Robert teach. I said, what? This man teach like that? Praise God for Allah.
Yeah. But it just goes to show you that if you have a brotherhood, man, we look at each other's strength, and we can make sure that thing get promoted.
That's right. That's right.
Each other's strength, man. You promote that. And one thing I've always lived by, I don't down nobody. I don't talk about nobody, because I was talking about somebody one time. Brother Albert told me. He said, "Brother, are you Master Fard Muhammad?" And I said, "No, sir." He said, "Well, how can you judge somebody? You can't judge them. That's his job, man." So that's one of my tenements that I live by.
Yes, sir.
Man, Brother Robert, you gave me some of the best advice when I moved here to Atlanta. And I'm telling you, I tell the brothers all the time, but I probably never tell them who told me, but it was you who said, Brother Jackie, you don't know the history of this city. Take your time. And then he gave me that look. Take your time. And I thank Allah, because Atlanta, man, this is a boy. Those who come to Atlanta, man, it's like you in a desert. And it's a tornado in the ground, and I'm telling you, it's just going down and down. You gotta be careful in Atlanta. It's a serious city. Take your time when you come here. But it's a beautiful city, though. It's a definitely city. I love it here.
Minister Van, you want to talk on the Georgia the Savior's Day '92 at the Georgia?
Yes,
Dome?
sir. I would like to talk now. Savior's Day '92 wasn't an event that was hosted by Atlanta. That was Savior's Day, which was hosted by Chicago, controlled by Chicago, and coordinated from Chicago. We were just a city that happened to be the site that Chicago chose.
The host.
And so, yes, we were the host. And so, but by Allah's grace, we had input on it toward the end, because they had hired a marketing firm initially to do all of the advertising. And the marketing firm that we had hired, they fell short of their responsibility and what they were doing. And so eventually, we took it over, and then I came and, by Allah's grace, developed a radio spot and a television spot. And Allah blessed us to have a success because of so many brothers and sisters from all over the nation emerged into Atlanta, and they really worked night and day. It was really a team effort from the supreme captain all the way down to the foot soldiers, brothers and sisters that was in processing. We came and we really gave it our all, and we worked as hard as we could, and Allah blessed us with a tremendous, overwhelming success. And I thank Allah that we were a part of it. And a lot goes into promoting, putting on an event of that magnitude. And I'm thankful to Allah that I was the regional minister that hosted some of the most successful events in the history of the Nation of Islam. And the Omni was just an overwhelming event. The minister's lecture was just overwhelming. Everybody that was somebody in Atlanta was there on the Diaz. We had the top politicians. We had the top religious community. It was just an overwhelming event. And I'm thankful to Allah that He blessed me to be the minister at that particular time to help to facilitate that success. And at the end of that meeting, Minister Farrakhan appointed me the regional minister over the whole southern region. Prior to that, I was just the minister of Atlanta overseeing the region. But then he officially made me the southern regional minister of the Nation of Islam.
Praise be to
Yes,
Allah.
sir. Yes, sir. Brother Vander, you want to talk about your student minister Jamil? And I guess the end of your tenure as a regional.
Well, Minister Jamil was my replacement. A lot of brothers say, well, like you asked me a question about when I was relieved. I really don't look at it as being relieved. I looked at it as being replaced. Minister Farrakhan, when he came to appoint Minister Jamil Muhammad, he made it very clear that I broke no laws, for he wanted to clear it up in the minds of the people so that when the sly, slinking devil would go behind his back and say that I broke this law or broke that law, I done this or I done that, he made it clear to everyone that I broke no laws, no rules in the Nation of Islam. He just wanted to try someone new, which is his prerogative as a leader of the Nation of Islam.
That's right.
I wasn't bitter. I wasn't upset. I felt as though I had no reason to be upset for being replaced because I knew that I had no real reason why I was appointed.
Yes, sir.
So it was Allah's will that I was appointed, and I looked at it, it was Allah's will that I was replaced. And I say, alhamdulillah, whatever people want to say about me, the story will be told. Allah is the best knower. We say, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. One thing for sure, I thank Minister Farrakhan because my name will go down in the history of the Nation of Islam because of the ministers appointed me, and can't nobody take that away from me.
That's right.
Yes, did you, Brother Minister Van, did you have some health challenges at the time?
Just health challenges that you would normal had. I started having slight problems with blood pressure, but Allah's God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If you black in America, you know, you're gonna have some kind of health problem somewhere along the line. But it was okay, you know, as long as we eat to live, you know, our health was a complication. What was complicated, period. And the messenger uncomplicated our health by teaching us how to eat to live. And whatever health problems we have, we can always correct within a 30-day period if we start following the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It was just time for me to go. It was time for me to be replaced. And whatever else need to be said, don't need to be said, other than the fact that I've done my job.
That's
I say like Paul said, I fought a good fight. I can honestly and truthfully say that I've done nothing to no one. And I tried to do the best job that I could. If I hurt anyone's feelings, it was not intentionally. If I've done anyone wrong, it was not out of any malice. And I just thank Allah for the wonderful brothers and sisters in Atlanta, Georgia, that I love and that love me. And I'm just thankful that after 27 years, people still speak of me affectionately
Oh,
And that is the hereafter. That is the hereafter. After I was removed, people still talk about the works that Allah blessed me to do. And I say, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alamin. And you know, before we go, I see the time. I wanted to just acknowledge brothers and sisters. First, I want to thank Minister I want to thank Allah and his messenger for blessing Minister Farrakhan to open up his heart to appoint me. And there was a lot of people that helped me that you don't know nothing about. And there was brothers and sisters that really was in the beginning that you don't know. One is Brother Shaka, Brother Lewis, Brother Sylvester Muhammad, a brother named Brother Al Swift, Al X, a Brother Brian. We owe Sister Annette, Sister Quinnette, and Sister Quintel a debt of gratitude. We owe Sister Lucille a debt of gratitude. These were sisters that were there in the very beginning. And these sisters never been to an official MGT class. They just heard the word and they stood up to help Minister Farrakhan. And I thank Allah for them. I thank Allah for Brother John Shabazz, Reverend Orange. Reverend Orange was a brother that introduced me to the religious community and literally forced him to accept me. He forced me in the door and I got in. I thank Dr. Nathaniel Browner, Mr. Browner, who was always a friend to the Nation of Islam. And I just thank him over and over again. And I thank you, brothers, for the job that you're doing. And I pray to Allah that the brotherhood that you have, that it be a handle that no man can break. Laugh and joke with each other, but know that when in a time of need, that you're always there for one another. And continue to be that example, brother. Continue to be that example.
Thank you.
I want to see if Sister Zuhaira, she speaks very highly of that time as well.
Oh, I can't talk about leaving. Thank you, brother. Sister Zuhaira, that was my captain. Hey, let me tell you, Sister Zuhaira was my captain. She was a beautiful sister from the beginning all the way to the end. And her and I are the best of friends. Brother, thank you for mentioning Sister Zuhaira. I would have felt so bad if I would not have mentioned her. She was a tremendous help to me.
Right.
A tremendous help and a tremendous friend.
Yes.
Tremendous friend.
Her and Sister Lucille always talk about that time. So I really wanted their names.
Oh, brother, thank you for saving me, brother. Thank you for saving me by mentioning Sister Zuhaira.
We about to go into final words. I want to say you for last, Minister Van, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
All right, yes, sir. Brother Robert,
Yes,
final
sir.
words.
Final words. Final words is, I studied this prayer, and I say this prayer. Man, every time I'm walking around or anything, and I think about it, it's on page 296 in the Message to the Black Man at the bottom of the page. And it goes something like this. Oh Allah, guide me amongst those whom thou hast guided aright, and preserve me amongst those whom thou hast preserved and befriended, and bless me in whatever thou dost grant, and pardon me from the evil of what thou judge. Surely none can judge against thee, and whomever thou befriendest is not disgraced. That's my final word. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Wow.
Beautiful final words, Brother Robert.
Wow.
But Robert, if we have any problems in the city of Atlanta, can we still call on you?
Guide us.
I'm
Guide
talking
us
about
right.
problems.
Man, you know what it is? Walks off me but carry a big stick.
Hey, see the kind of brotherhood we got, Minister Van. The man just gave us a prayer, and now he just want to send the man back. This is the kind of brotherhood we dealing with right here. Praise Allah. Thank you, Brother Robert.
Brother Michael, final words.
Thank you, Brother Robert.
I just wanted to thank you, brothers, for having us on and just hearing our story that we have coming from Ohio to Atlanta, Georgia. That's very good for you, the brothers, to remember us.
Yes, sir.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Brother Michael. Brother Michael, what age were you when you moved down to Florida?
To Florida, I was 39, something about 39.
You moved your family down to Florida, started the study group, got us up and going. We would not have Islam. I mean, so many brothers and sisters in Orlando and in all the area around it would not have Islam if it were not for your sacrifice. I personally thank you for your sacrifice, for leaving a place of comfort and then coming down and starting the study group with a tape recorder at 750 Orange Blossom Trail. And it allowed myself and others like me to come in and experience the Nation of Islam. Because of that, I'm married, have a business. I mean, just things are going well because of the training and the foundation that you and brothers like yourself, Minister Van, Brother Sadiq, Brother Robert, you know, who help brothers like myself, young brothers coming in and help us and give us a strong foundation where we can build on and leave something for our children and our grandchildren. So thank you, Brother Michael. Me personally, my family, from me and my family personally, for your sacrifice. I appreciate you, sir. All the training that you gave me, the example that you gave me. I mean, I wanted to say this too, you know, because, you know, Brother Minister Van brought up about being replaced and relieved. I remember when I was replaced or relieved, either one, you know, but I watched it happen with Brother Michael. And the day that Brother Michael was replaced and relieved, we were going out of town the next day to hear the minister. And it was just such a beautiful sight to see Brother Michael on deck the next day, like a soldier, the day after he was relieved. And that stayed with me. So when my time came, I played back that what you did, Brother Michael. And that when I was relieved, that next day in the mosque, I was right there as a soldier because I said, Brother Michael did it, and I did it, and it just made my whole tremendous my travels through the nation. It made everything better. It allowed me to humble myself. It allowed me to look into myself, and it allowed me to do better things since then. So you've been a very good example for me, Brother Michael. Very good example. I just wanted to give you your flowers while you live, you know, so you would know.
Praise Allah.
A tremendous effect of me in my life. So thank you, Brother Michael. Thank you.
Thank you. You really know how to make a brother feel good.
Hey, that's how we got to do each other, man. That's the brotherhood, man. That's what we got to do.
Yes,
So,
sir.
Brother Michael, was those your final words, or you got some final words?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was my final words.
Praise be. Well, go ahead, brother. Good job, Brother Jack. Brother Ahmed, final words.
Okay. But basically, I just wanted to thank you brothers for taking time to come on our show. Your names and your legs. I'm from New York originally, so all I knew was New York when I grew up. But when I came to Atlanta, I would hear your names and your experiences, Brother Sadiq, and Brother Robert was always there to give me those words. Anytime I may have been unbalanced, he's right there to whisper the teachings in my ear to get me back on track. You brothers, and I always study you and hear from the different stories and the legacy that you all brought in spreading Islam in America. Always, it's never taken lightly. I know how difficult it was from my parents, and then coming to Atlanta to hear your stories. It was just inspiring to know that when we go out, it's possible because it's been done before. And I can give your examples to other brothers. So it was all in the training. So I thank you all for your dedication and you putting yourselves out there to help the spread of Islam, to help the minister, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So thank you, brothers. Really.
I want to say one last thing before we go, that I would be remiss of my duty if I did not mention my beautiful former wife, Sister Antonio Muhammad, who was a helpmate to me through my complete ministry. She followed me all over the country. Wherever I said I wanted to go, she was willing. Whatever I wanted to do, she supported me. I thank Allah for her and the 7 children that Allah blessed me to receive through her womb. I thank Allah for her over and over again.
Yes, sir. Thank you, bro. Thank you.
I'm gonna do final words, and then we're gonna give you the final the close it out, Minister Van. As you know, I wasn't around during those eras. I mean, I lean on Brother Jackie, Brother Ahmed. I lean on Brother Stanley Muhammad. I lean on Brother Rashid to I guess give me those stories of old. You know, when I look at Brother Michael, and I see why Brother Jackie is the brother that he is. I met people that Ahmed trained under, and I see why is the brother that he is. And to me, bridging the gap between the 70s, 80s, and 90s to now, it's always a beautiful thing for me because it allows me to understand the current brothers that's in the ranks that I'm in the ranks with and why they the way they are. I mean, the brothers that says they came up in the 90s, they are hear and obey type of brothers. Point and simple. Brother Jackie, but I mean, those are hear and obey type of brothers, where I'm one of them new brothers that I want to know why. And
Come on, man.
you know, and they say, brother, no, brother, speak the right language. You ask them why, you know. And so I see why they are the way they are. And brother, I only say, man, y'all really reproduced yourselves in these brothers that's coming up, you know, in my age range right now. And I salute you for that. So thank you for your services, man. I never knew that y'all did so much. I guess Ohio truly represented in the Nation of Islam only the way Ohio brothers can represent. So it was a pleasure having you on the show. And I mean, I wish we could do it again. But Minister Van.
Yes, sir.
Our honor for you to have the final words of the show, brother.
All praise is due to Allah. Once again, brothers, I thank you all very much. I follow your show when I remember from time to time. You all gave a course one day on credit report and the power and necessity of having credit. That was an excellent show that you've done. I would like to say to the brothers and sisters, members of the Nation of Islam, that we thank and salute you, the common rank and file FOI and MGT, for all of your sacrifices, for every dollar that you give that you really couldn't afford, every hour that you gave us when you came to the mosque when you weren't feeling good, you came anyway. We thank you and we respect you and we honor you. And I would like to, Brother Jackie mentioned when he was relieved, Brother Michael, he said when Brother Michael was relieved and myself when I was relieved and replaced. All of us are men. We all have feelings. We all have emotions. Let us respect the laborers that tried to lay down their life and made the ultimate sacrifice to give to the Nation of Islam. Even though we didn't do a good job all the time, but we tried. So let us, when we see them, remember the sacrifice that they made, the sacrifice that their wife made, their children made, as we remember you for all of the sacrifice that you make as a rank and file FOI and MGT. And remember that none of us can rise no higher than the other one, that what I have, you should have, that the Quran says that the believing men and the believing women, that we are friends. And let us put our differences behind us and beside us, and quit letting personalities interfere with us being brothers and not speaking to each other. And, you know, we just got to stop it and just really get down to the nitty of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and remember that we all each other got. And so let's just be mindful of that. And Savior's Day, let us remember what that day is all about. The coming of Almighty God in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. And that's all I wanted to say. And I thank you, brothers and sisters, for honoring me and honoring my longtime friends, Brother Robert and Brother Michael. Brother Robert and I came in the Nation of Islam together. We hung out in the streets together. So did Brother Sadiq. I just want to thank you, brother, because we got an opportunity to come up and tell our side of the story. And I just thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Wa
alaikum salam. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.